Well, welcome everybody to our second ever show of the Know Your TPS Neighbor streaming show. I don't radio show that we're doing here, and just we're out here. It's a collaboration with the National TPS Alliance and then the TPS Allied Solidarity Committee. And the goal of the program is to talk about TPS to the allies community, learn more about what's going on. And today, we're going to be talking about the court case. So, Francis, my co-host for the show, who do we have on the show with us?
Hi, Jesse. So good to see everyone again. So we are here, just like you say, we're a second show and with a lot of information because what happened in the this week, 2 days ago in the court. So we have some very important people here in the house today, being our neighbors. We have Jose Palma, who is the coordinator from the National TPS Alliance, who will explain a little bit of what is the TPS program and what is the National TPS Alliance doing to support all the members. And also we have Jessica Banzal, who is one of the lawyers on the case, and Johnny Silva, who is one of the plaintiffs. So, welcome everyone. Jose.
No, thank you for the invitation, and thank you for this initiative of bringing something in English. Radio Jornalera usually does a lot of information in Spanish. I know people have been requesting to do it in English, and thank you both for hosting the show. I mean, I think it's important for many people that are connected today is to learn that TPS wasn't born yesterday. It was not born from the beautiful idea of a legislator, and instead it was kind of like a response to a community that was organizing and asked to get some answer to their questions. So TPS was born in 1990 during that time when Salvadorians were fleeing El Salvador because of a civil war, coming to the United States and asking the government to provide a political asylum cases. But if people remember, during the 80s, the United States was supporting the military efforts going on in El Salvador, and the United States was investing actually $1 million per day, and the civil war in El Salvador was destroying pretty much the infrastructure and everything in El Salvador. But the United States didn't want to accept that there was a war going on in El Salvador, and that they didn't want to accept the responsibilities. So they decided to create the TPS program. It was given to Salvadorians as a first group of people, and then TPS program has been used to protect many other countries. Lately, there were 17 countries protected by TPS. Close to 1.5 million people protected by TPS, but we know the attack to end with the program is very strong during this last with this last president, and therefore the organizing really need to continue happening, and defend the program and the organizing efforts need to continue. And I think many people deserve the opportunity to apply for permanent residence. So we will see what happened, but it has been a long struggle, and I think right now is even more important than ever to be very informed, and actually also not only be informed, but everyone needs to take action to it. Francis.
Thank you, Jose. I don't know if you guys can hear me now. Okay. Okay. That is very important for the people to know where we're coming from and where we're going. So thank you for the explanation. And also, I would like to introduce Jessica. I know we're gonna have a lot to hear from you. And I don't know, Jesse, if you have a question for Jose or.
We'll get over the logistics of this. Yep. One of the questions that I know there's a lot of folks out there who are just U.S. citizens that don't know a lot about TPS and the movement to protect TPS families, but I know that the court cases that we've had have been an important strategy to protect the program and to protect families. Could you tell us a little bit just about the background of why the courts are an important strategy for protecting TPS, and then kind of what's going on right now with the court cases that are with the federal courts?
Yeah, of course. So like Jose said, the TPS program was created through legislation. So in that way, it's a little bit different than like DACA or some other programs people may have heard of. Congress passed a law in 1990, and the whole point of the law was to set clear rules and requirements for when countries would get designated for TPS, and when those designations would end. And so back in, I think, 2017 now, when the TPS Alliance first came together, a group of TPS holders, to plan for what they knew was going to be an attack on the TPS program under the first Trump administration. It was very important to identify a legal strategy that would go with the organizing strategy. So the goal of the National TPS Alliance is and has always been to gain permanent residency for TPS holders, many of whom have lived in this country for 25 years. Without any kind of permanent status. So 25 years of every 18 months having to file an application, renew your status. And the TPS Alliance has fought for a path to lawful permanent residence for TPS holders. The legal strategy is just to preserve TPS. So we can't win what TPS holders need and deserve in court. We can't win a green card. But we can protect the program. We can enforce the laws that Congress wrote down in 1990 that said, we're going to insulate this program from domestic politics. And we recognize that throughout the 80s, decisions were made about who is going to get humanitarian relief and who is not, based on political considerations that really have no place in this kind of refugee program. And so what we want to do is take that out of it. Make a fair system where countries can be designated for TPS if it's just not safe to return to that country. So for example, for El Salvador, the current TPS designation was based on the earthquake back in 2000 for Honduras, and Nicaragua based on Hurricane Mitch. Those were disasters that completely destroyed the infrastructure in the country, made it impossible for people to return. And the executive at that time recognized that and granted people protections. Now, the program is temporary, but once people are protected by law, Congress can't end those protections unless it is actually safe to return to that country. And that's the requirement that the Trump administration, both this time and the first time around, has been skirting any way that they can. And so the idea of the legal strategy is, okay, while the alliance fights for the long-term benefits people need, while we fight for a green card, we're going to at least preserve this program. We're going to make sure that they don't end this program without actually looking at the conditions in the countries that are designated for TPS and making a real objective decision. Is it actually safe to go back to those countries or not? And if it's not, under the law that Congress wrote, those protections have to be extended.
Jose, I know that in the for the first Trump administration, the court cases that were going on there were largely focused on people from El Salvador, right? And played a pretty important role in delaying the removal of those protections right up until the right at the end of the administration, right?
Yes, you know, in 2017, people were told, and during that time, actually, the first country was Haiti, and eventually El Salvador and the rest of the countries with TPS. People were told you have 6 months to leave, and the community came together, actually starting to build a organization that now is well known as National TPS Alliance, and people have been fighting since then to protect the program. The strategy, as Jessica was mentioning, has been very clear, always has been, let's use the legal system to protect the program and make sure people don't lose their protection, but also the organizing, which is the one that eventually we hope will convince legislators that they need to take action and that they need to pass a legislation to protect this community. So, the battle has been long. But if we were to measure the campaign by passing a legislation, probably we have failed. We haven't passed a legislation. But if we really pay attention about what had happened, I think it has been a victory of the community and our allies that have joined effort to protect people with TPS. One, we saved the program in the first Trump administration. He was not able to terminate TPS, and the program continues. Many people have become permanent residents during the process, and we have developed a nationwide organization with 376,000 members across the country. And it has become a house for every TPS recipients to join effort and try to protect our families all together. So, there is a lot of going on right now. We know the fight continues, but there are many, many things to celebrate nowadays while we continue finding a solution for what is happening at this moment with the families.
Yeah. And so there's really two cases that have been going on since this current Trump administration. Jessica or Jose, could one of you kind of just explain the two cases and what's similar and what's different between the two of them?
I won't get in a disagreement with Jessica to explain the legal battle going on right now.
Like a lawyer talk.
This is the moment for the attorneys to explain as a step by step what's going on.
I have no doubt that Jose could explain it better than I can, but I will. I will explain it. So yeah, there's two cases. Within a week of taking office this time, the Trump administration did something that has never happened before, even during the first Trump administration, which was, so TPS gets granted for these 18-month periods, right? Last time around, at the end of the 18-month period for basically every country, they said, well, we're not going to give you another 18 months. This time around, as with many things, they were even more aggressive. So Venezuelans and Haitians have been recently granted an 18-month extension under the Biden administration, and the Trump administration came in and said, we're going to take that back. There was time that was already promised to you, that was already granted, and we're going to undo that. We're going to vacate that. We're going to make a new decision, and we're going to terminate. So our first case challenges that decision, and it's all about, or one of the things it's about is, well, can they do that? Again, this is a program that was created by Congress. There's rules written down, and that's not part of it. I mean, part of the whole purpose of the program was to give people at least a little bit of stability. And so we've argued in that case, and we won in the district court and at the appeals court that the Secretary of Homeland Security just doesn't have the power to take back a period of humanitarian protection, of a period of TPS that she already gave. But the Supreme Court stayed the relief in that case without giving any explanation. So that's the first case. The second case is for Honduras, Nicaragua, and Nepal. So for Honduras, Nicaragua, and Nepal, the last 18-month period ran out in June for Nepal and in July for Honduras and Nicaragua. And DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, said, okay, well, we're not going to extend. We're gonna terminate now. And they gave people 60 days. 60 days notice. These are people, in the case of Honduras and Nicaragua, who've lived here for over 25 years. We're given 60 days to prepare for loss of status. Folks from Nepal, that country's been designated since 2015, so for 10 years, but the average Nepali TPS holder has been in the country for, I think, 14 or 15 years. We're also given 60 days. So that's another way it was more aggressive than the first Trump administration, when people were given longer periods of time. And so in that case, our argument is, again, under the statute, when these periodic reviews come up every 18 months, the agency is supposed to do a review, like an objective review. They're supposed to look at the conditions in the country. And it's not just about the original crisis that triggered the designation. They look at what's happened since then. So for example, for Nicaragua, the country's in the middle of a humanitarian crisis. They're supposed to consider that when they decide whether they're going to extend TPS, but they didn't. And so we argued that that was illegal. And we again won in the district court. The only court to look at it and actually consider the evidence and write an opinion said, look, these decisions were not reasoned. They weren't objective. They didn't follow the proper procedures. And in fact, the evidence suggests they were motivated by racism, which is unconstitutional. So that court ordered that the terminations couldn't take effect, but the government appealed to the Ninth Circuit, and the Ninth Circuit let the terminations take effect while the litigation goes forward. So those are the two separate cases, and they're different because they happen at different times and they raise different legal issues in some ways.
And so the case that happened, that we had the hearing on Tuesday, what was that hearing about?
That hearing was for Honduras, Nicaragua, Nepal. And that was a hearing where we went in with evidence to prove all these allegations that we made to the court. So we went to the court and we said, these decisions are illegal because, again, they didn't follow the proper process. That's what we said in the summer. But we had to make that case just based on what was publicly available, which was a fair amount. But since that time, we've been in the discovery process. And so we've gotten information, internal communications from the government about their decision-making process. And so we went to the court with all that evidence and we said, look, now we can really prove it. And we asked the court for a final decision finding that the terminations didn't follow proper procedures. And so for that reason, they are not lawful. They should be set aside.
Okay. Francis, do you have questions to add? Sorry, I've been asking all the questions.
No, you're good. You're good. All the information that we can give, no matter who asked the question. But I would like to ask Jessica, if she doesn't hear me, if you can repeat it, Jessie. The question that we have is, there is a date that the judge says she's going to do the announcement? Because we have been hearing so many things everywhere, giving dates, giving that like it's a solution already being done. Can you tell or explain the people, because they think it's going to be like 24 hours, like, or 48 hours after that. And for a reason, it's like somebody say it and the people keep repeating. Can you please clarify that part, Jessica?
Jessica, were you able to hear Francis?
I don't know why. I'm sorry, Francis, but I
Oh,
can't.
that's wild. Okay.
It's so strange.
So essentially what Francis was asking for Jessica is, so what's the date that we're expecting to hear from the judge about the judge's response from this hearing?
I wish that we knew. Sometimes this judge tells us, I expect I'll issue my decision in a week or 2 weeks. She did not say this time, and there's no deadline on the court. It's not uncommon for a summary judgment decision, which is what this is, to take many months. We hope the court will move more quickly, but we don't know. We don't have a timeline.
So, but what do we expect? Like, I'm guessing we get approval, like, or if it's a positive judgment, what does that look like in terms of next steps? And if there's not a positive judgment, what does that look like for next steps?
So
is that even possible to answer?
Yeah, I mean, if we win, that would restore TPS protections for people from Honduras, Nicaragua, and Nepal. Given what we've seen in the other case and in this case before, we would expect it's likely that the government could try to seek another stay. And that process is, I would say, one of the sort of new developments of the second Trump administration. Wasn't so commonly used in the first Trump administration, but I think people probably have heard about the shadow docket, or they'll see in the news, this court said that this thing the Trump administration is doing is illegal, they have to stop. And then like 3 days later, but the Supreme Court said they could do it anyway. That's called the shadow docket or the emergency docket. That's what happened after we won the first decision in this case back in the summer. The government went to the Ninth Circuit and they said, this is an emergency for the government. We can't let these TPS holders who have been here for 26 years stay, even a few months longer while this case plays out. You have to let the terminations take effect. We think the district court was wrong. And the Ninth Circuit agreed with them. And so it is possible that if we win, the government could again try that same thing. Again, we have more evidence this time. We have some different legal claims. So I think we have very strong legal arguments. But that doesn't always seem to carry the day, especially at the Supreme Court of late.
Got it. And so it's likely to go back up to the Supreme Court, and we're kind of left to that court's decision again. Yeah, which is not necessarily a great thing. So, going back, I guess, to, Jose and Francis too, because the leadership there, it's clear that the legal strategy is carrying us as far as the legal strategy is going to carry us. But really, like, what's next in terms of, the other strategy, and that strategy about trying to get towards permanent residency?
Yeah, I think we have been clear from the beginning with everyone, with the membership and with our leaders, that the campaign to hopefully win permanent residency or win a status that will allow people to continue living in the United States are two: the legal and the organizing. When it comes to the organizing, the Alliance have been building committees across the country to continue doing advocacy work. For example, meeting with your legislators and asking the legislator, what are you doing to protect TPS families? Sometimes we will hear the same, nothing we can do, Congress is broken and nothing will happen. But the reality is that Congress, when they want to pass something, they get together. We just saw the passing the budget during last week. Some people were willing to cross the line and vote with the other party. So I think we need to continue lifting the urgency about what is happening with TPS. We need to continue sharing our stories, talking about what is happening with our families, and hopefully we can convince Congress that they need to act, and they need to act as soon as possible. So organizing committees across the country, building and doing more leadership development is on the line. And that is very clear. Something is clear. If we don't do nothing, we know by next year, most likely 1.5 million people will be without documents. But if we do something, there may be a possibility. And for that, we're working with some allies. We asking people to take action, and hopefully everyone will do something, because a lot of people are saying right now, I want to help and I want to help. Then when sometimes we tell them what we want them to do, they say, oh, what are you doing that? You should be doing this and this and that and that. And I say, okay, perfect. We want documentation. If you believe we don't know what we're doing, then show us what we want a documentation for people. So if you know a better way to do it, let's do it together. That's fine. No problem. So everyone can do something, Jesse. That's the reality.
Well, and you mentioned stories, which I think is a good pivot to what we want to do next. And really the main theme of this broadcast is to tell stories of TPS holders. And so I'm really excited to introduce Johnny Silva. Johnny, I got to know, we were doing a little talking back and forth in terms of getting ready for the hearing that came up here. But Johnny's one of the plaintiffs in the court case related to people from Honduras, Nepal and Nicaragua. Johnny, welcome to Know Your TPS Neighbor. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your story coming to the United States and what you've been doing here? What have you been doing here in the United States as part of our community, one of our neighbors?
Sure thing. First of all, I want to say thank you for having me. I'm very grateful to be able to be given a platform to speak and tell my story and represent TPS holders and many other immigrants like me. I was born in Honduras back in 1995, but I've been here in America since '98. I've grown up out here in the Bay Area my whole life. I finished high school here. I tried joining the military after high school, trying to get my citizenship that way, but the Army denied me that option. And then, I just started. I started to try to work. I started going to school. I tried to just have like a normal life, and then before I knew it, a lot of things shifted in my life. When I was 20 years old, that's when my child was born, and I had to go through a lot of grown-up things with my kid's mom, and it helped me mature very early on and stuff. And like TPS has always been in the back of my mind, because that's what's been giving me the opportunity to work and have a license and social and feel as American as I could possibly feel, But then when Trump came into office, that's when things became very real. And now that, you know, so much time has passed, it's been 10 years since Trump has been in the mainstream, like, news to be president and all this stuff, you know. So but recently, with everything that's happened, I was basically put in contact with TPS Alliance through my parents, because they are the ones that were first, like, very heavily involved with TPS and stuff. And through them, I was able to participate in the lawsuit with the ACLU against the government for the unlawful termination of TPS, because, you know, I, like many other people with TPS, I've been working my whole life. I've been paying taxes since I was 17 years old. I was trying to go to school to be a nurse. Like, I was working at the Stanford Hospital, being a nursing assistant, helping on a cardiac unit and stuff. And for all of that to be ripped away, you know, against my will, it's been very hard. But I feel very grateful and hopeful because of the incredible legal team that you know I've been like gifted with. Like, it's a blessing. Like, I don't know how I truly ended up like this, you know. But you know, I'm just very hopeful right now, especially with what happened on Tuesday. It felt a little bit like a movie being in the courtroom, honestly, just because everything is so legit and professional. And I think it's like it's irritating to hear the government being defended and trying to make their case, calling us, you know, invaders and terrorists and all these terrible things that are not true.
Mhm.
You know, and I think I'm just very grateful that the judge could see that. And even though there isn't an actual decision right now, I think I'm just feeling as hopeful as I can, because, you know, that's all I can do right now. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to be positive and be here and use my voice and learn more than what I have been able to learn. And, you know, I'm just I just want everybody to understand what's happening and stuff, like, because I think we all deserve better living
Yeah.
here in the United States of America and stuff, you know.
Yeah. Hey, you know, and I think that part of your story, I think, is, you know, you're such an asset to our community. And you know, I was interested to hear when we talked before about, you know, why did you want you work in healthcare? Why did you want to get into healthcare? Why was that a career that you want to pursue?
Um, Being in the healthcare industry, I think, has been implanted in me since I was a child, because when my mom was in Honduras, she used to be a nurse out there. And when she came out here to America, I think English became a barrier for her, so she wasn't able to continue doing it. But my mom is still in healthcare, working as like an in-home nurse. She's taken care of many people throughout the years, and in the last like 17 years, she's been taking care of a little girl with cerebral palsy. She's been like a second mother to this child. And you know, she allowed this child's mom to finish her nursing degree and stuff, you know. So my mom gets taken care of like that and stuff, you know. But I think I love helping people. Before I ended up at Stanford, I went through many different jobs. I started off at El Pollo Loco, and then I started doing Starbucks. Then I did Uber on and off for like 5 years. I worked at the Tesla factory in Fremont, and then I found myself at the Stanford Hospital with the opportunity to become a nursing assistant, doing what I want to do and stuff, you know. And I love my job. I miss it every day. Like, ever since I stopped working, like, it doesn't feel the same.
Mhm.
And right now it's been unfortunate because the government doesn't want me to work. Like, how am I supposed to do anything, you know? So it's been quite a challenge right now, but at the same time, I'm so grateful because I have my family and I can still see my child and stuff, you know. And at least I can try to explain what's going on to people that are willing to hear what's going on and stuff, you know.
And you worked in the cardiac ward. What was that like? You know, you talk. One of the things that caught me when we were talking before is you talked about like that. Oftentimes, people have come out of a serious injury or serious surgery, and you were the person that was kind of there with them on the day to day. One of the primary people there talking about. What was that like? What's that like?
Honestly, it was very rewarding. Like, it might sound cheesy, but like, I think I've learned to just get comfortable with strangers really quick, and I think I just wanted to give them a good healing experience and stuff, because my responsibilities as a nursing assistant were a lot of giving patients their bed baths, doing their linens, helping them go for walks. Like, it depends on how the patient was, but sometimes I'd have to clean up their bowel movements, their accidents with like when they're incontinent, or taking them to the bathroom, using an overhead lift to move them from the bed to like the cardiac chair so that they can at least get out of bed, because a part of healing is not just laying in bed. Like, you got to try and do something and stuff too, and it felt really nice to be able to like connect with people that, like, no matter who they are outside of the hospital, like, I knew that when they were on the unit, like, my responsibility was to help them no matter who they are and stuff. And that's just how my parents have raised me and stuff. I just want to help,
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds to me that it would be a real loss to our community if you weren't able to stay and keep working and stuff like that. And so I just want to say thank you so much for all that you've been doing and for being in the court case. And just I want to talk. What's that experience been like? What has it been like to be a plaintiff in this really important court case that's in our community right now?
It's been really cool, to be honest. It's given me a lot of hope and a lot of just it's kept me going, because before I became a part of the court hearing and the lawsuit and stuff, I think I've told all the lawyers and stuff and everybody that knows, like, I was screaming into the void for the longest time. Like, I felt like nobody was taking me seriously. Nobody was listening to me. Like, they just thought I was woke or whatever, and like I was just talking too much, and people they don't want to hear the reality of some things, So I think it's just been very cool to at least be given a platform to stand up for my people and not allow the government to speak down on us, because I think it trips Americans up when they hear me speak and they're like, wait, he's an immigrant, but why does he sound like that? Because it's like, I've grown up out here, like, this is my life out here, and I have to speak up. Like, I couldn't keep quiet any longer and stuff, So I think I'm forever going to be grateful to this experience. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I hope 2026 has better circumstances for everybody and stuff.
Francis, do you have any questions you wanted to add?
I was wondering, Johnny, as a plaintiff and as a TPS holder who came so young over here, when do you find out? Because we hear stories from the DACA recipients who they never knew they were, without documentation until they tried to go to college or university. And how was for you when you received? Do you understand what's happening at the time, or you knew it all the time?
I don't think I realized the severity of what was my status, because growing up in middle school and high school, like, I knew I was from Honduras. I knew I had TPS, but I didn't fully understand what it meant to, like, not have documentation and struggle to find work even when, like, we're not supposed to and stuff, But because when I was younger, I just wasn't aware of many things. And I think I didn't really start taking it seriously until 2016, when Donald Trump became president. And a lot of the things he was running on was anti-immigrant. And I was like, yo, what's going on? Like, this is not okay. Like, why are so many people falling for this? But I guess that's a part of how things are. But I 2016 is definitely when I became way more aware, and because I did try to obtain citizenship through marriage with the mother of my child, but things didn't really work out and stuff. So I've been trying to do things the right way the whole time and stuff. So it's just it's been a lot recently.
Mm-hmm. And you how old were you when you came to the United States?
I was 3 years old. And on November 10th, I just turned 30. I've been here 27 years. Like, what else does the government want from me and stuff, you know?
Right. How does that even make sense, right? To go back to a country that you left when you were 3 years old is just wild to me, right? It's Francis, do you have any other questions? I have another one, but I don't. I've been answering so many questions. So
no, I think just to make the comment, right, that the people, by hearing the stories like Johnny's stories, is making understand that we are losing the TPS, but America is losing people like Johnny.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That is very important to understand, that it's not only we are fighting to be here with our family, but also what we give into the country, the contribution that we do, not only in the economic side, but also as a person of the community, is a big loss.
Mm-hmm. So, Johnny, what would you want to tell your, U.S. citizen neighbors, people like me that live in your community or across the country? What would you want them to know right now, or hope they'd be doing right now, or what we hope we would be doing right now?
I think honestly, the only thing I can ask for is for people to not listen to the negative rhetoric that there is about immigrants and people like me that have come to this country to work. I think it's good to understand that, like, if it's not easy to obtain your citizenship. Like, it's not easy to get a green card and a residency and all this stuff. And as much as I understand people's sentiments about wanting to protect the United States and not just letting anybody come into the country, I get that, but it's not easy, because the only people that are able to give people like me status are the government, it's Congress and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's good to put pressure on Congress to we need immigration reform. Like, that's what we need. Immigration reform for people that have been here 5-10 years. Like, I've been here almost 30 years and it's still a problem for me to get my papers and stuff, you know? And I just want people to understand that we are not invading, we are not terrorizing anybody. Like, we're here to build the better lives for ourselves. Like, all I want to do from my point of view is I want to go back to work. I want to go back to school. I'm a law-abiding citizen, and anybody who has TPS is, because it's hard to keep TPS. Like, I have no criminal record. People who have TPS are not criminals. We are just here we want a better life, and we want access to what Americans get. We want to be able to, be legal in this country. We want to contribute. We don't want to cause problems. And I hope people can at least open up their hearts and try to understand that, like, it sucks to be in this situation. I know I don't want to have to, like, beg and stuff, and, like, it just sucks to be here. But I just want people to understand that, like, things shouldn't be like this, and all immigrants in this country deserve a better life, and obviously so do American citizens, because there's a lot of division right now, and I think there needs to be a lot more unity amongst all people, because more than anything, we have more things in common with each other than the president has in common with us.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I don't want to get too political or whatever, but I just want people to know that, like, we want to protect this country too. We don't want bad people here. Like, we want to be able to, be just good citizens and bring nothing but goodness to America. I think that's what I want people to understand.
Oh, well, thank you. Say we win, we get victory, and we get permanent residency. 5 years from now, what's happening with you? What are you doing?
If everything, the dream for me right now is to be able to go back to school, finish my prereqs for nursing school, finish my nursing program, and be able to, in the next 5 years, hopefully by then, I'll be a nurse. I'll be a nurse working at Stanford Hospital or at Kaiser or something. And even at that point, like, I feel like there's still a lot of fight left to fight, because there's a lot of problems with the healthcare industry and stuff like that too. But I at least want to be able to be in a place where I can make my parents' sacrifice worth it by finishing school and proving it to my kid that I can go back to school and get my degree and be in a better place so that I can, finally try to live the American dream and stuff, 'cause that's what everybody wants.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sounds like a dream of a lot of people, and I'm hoping that we're going to be able to make that fight so that you and the hundreds of thousands of other TPS holders out there are able to live those dreams as well. I know you've got a GoFundMe page that's helping you out right now. We'll get that link up in the chat or in the comment section in a little bit if people want to help support you during these really kind of, I can't even imagine, economically hard times. So
Sure.
Thanks for that. Francis, do you have anything else to add on this point? We're going to move on to like our next little segment here about some TPS facts. I'll ask Johnny and hopefully Jessica's still with us to join us in talking about some of these TPS facts. But do you have any other questions you want to ask, Francis?
No, I think thank you so much, Johnny, for being part of this fight, and we hope everything go well for us, including me. But we know there is a long way to do, like you were saying. This is, like Jose was saying, this is only one part of the fight, but we have to organize. And I was checking on the comments on the side, and I see some people were asking some questions that we're not going to answer right now over here because we have some other platforms that we can have to answer this, like a driver license questions, any other cases that Jessica explained already in the beginning, but we're gonna still doing it. And some people is asking also, why not in Spanish? We have the programs in Spanish, so you can see tomorrow is Empezando el Weekend con Jose Palma, where we're gonna have a lot of information also in Spanish, and we have the program with the Radio Jornalera Massachusetts, and also La Voz de la Justicia Tepeciana. So there are many places that we're going to have the information in Spanish, and this one in English is for the people who doesn't understand the reason why we are doing all this and keep fighting for our, to have a TPS program go back to what it was, and also to try to fight for a path to the residency. So we have to make sure that everybody understand, not only because we need it, is because it's important. They see our point of view when they don't understand us. If you are a TPS holder, you understand, but most of the people, and one of the questions who was coming to me before is the people who speak English don't understand why I be temporary for 30 years.
Right.
And it's not like going to the store and try to get something. It's a process. And the system is so bad that it's taking forever. And every time you think you're so close to get it, there is something else that is coming on the way and you can't. Mm-hmm. So this is the road that we have to go all the way until we get what we deserve in the justice or in the organizing side. So I think this is the comment that I have, and thank you everyone for having those questions. Very important. Also, the people is telling they have the dream to be physical therapists like you do, Johnny. So there is some people that have the same feeling as you to help others.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that just Francis's point too, and for those of you who are TPS holders that are on here, share this video out to your U.S. citizen friends and family that are out in your community. Part of the reason we're putting this together is to educate the U.S. citizen folks and to build the allies community to help get folks out there and answer some of these questions and do that. So if you're an ally who's watching right now, share this out on your social media. Help us get these stories out. It's just so important to help get the word out there. Just a couple. One of the things we want to do with these is TPS facts, and I got a couple here just in terms of there are currently about 55,000 people in the country with TPS from Honduras, another 10,000 from Nicaragua, and then another 19,000 from Nepal. Those are the three countries that are involved in the case that we talked about today. Was that right about it? Feel free to correct me. These are just the reports that I'm doing the research online, but if we have different numbers there. both Nicaragua and Honduras, their TPS was started because of Hurricane Mitch in '98, and then the folks from Nepal are here because of the earthquake that happened in Nepal in 2015. And so I guess one of the facts I think that is important just to help people understand, and this might be a good question for Jessica, is it's natural disasters and political instabilities and war are the main reasons for that are authorized for TPS. Is that the scope, or are there other reasons why TPS gets authorized for other countries?
There's three basic sort of prongs. There's a natural disasters, war, and then there's a sort of catch-all third category that's called extraordinary and temporary conditions, which can be things like can be armed conflict that doesn't rise to the level of war, things like that. So for example, Haiti, an earthquake triggered the designation, but it's actually under the extraordinary and temporary conditions prong. Because that's how they chose to do it. So it's basically anything that makes it unsafe to go back to that country. That's not, I think the idea with TPS was asylum is based on your individual situation, right? But a country gets designated for TPS if it's just unsafe generally. So you can't apply for asylum because your country is in rubble. That's not because of your politics or your religion, right? But it's still not safe. So Congress was looking to provide a general protection for people who couldn't go back. And just people, you can't come to the United States on TPS. It's not like a visa or like a way that you come, but it's like if you're already here, say you're here, you're studying, you're here on a tourist visa or something, and there's like a disaster in your country, you cannot go back, then you're protected. Then you're protected by TPS.
Cool. Well, we're nearing the end of our show here, and we always like to do some calls to action to invite folks in to do to continue to engage with this work. I know I saw an email that went out today, Francis, about a pretty important call for members. So we got plenty of TPS members on the show watching right now. What's the and we have English language speaking TPS members that can be watching this. What's happening Friday in terms of an update for the court case? I know there's a call happening tomorrow.
We are with some of the investigations that we are doing tomorrow. We're going to do an update, and also for the investigation of the Social Security, because we know right now whoever was receiving this that retirement plan was stopped because the TPS is not going through right now. I don't know how to say it in mix it up the words and confuse the people. But if you was receiving the retirement plan for the Social Security and you don't have a legal status right now, because what happened with TPS, you will be stopped receiving that benefits. So we are going to do tomorrow kind of a presentation, the way that people understand what the investigation is going through, how to do it, and what if you are in the country and you're planning, because there are people who's planning to go back to Honduras or Nicaragua. Nepal, because we don't have people to do the investigation, we don't know yet, but it's almost the same. This is what we hear from the students who are helping us today, and also Jessica was in the meeting because it's part of the investigation. But it is important to understand that we know there are so many things that are happening with the TPS. It's not only the loss of the program, but we're trying to do investigation to help the people to understand the system, and they can get more information on how to do it in the right way, even if you are out of the country. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow, and we're going to be sharing the link for our members. That way they can enjoy the program.
Cool. Another thing that allies and community members of any type can do is we just debuted The Next Dream, which is a documentary that is produced out of Massachusetts in the Massachusetts TPS committee. And it just talks about the campaign. It's about a 45-minute documentary that talks about TPS, talks about the campaign to protect TPS families, and it's a great educational tool. I'm hoping that our producer Doris can throw up the link to that page and how people can in the chat can bring that to their community. But just encourage folks. We did a national showing online last Thursday, but people can bring it to your local communities. There was a showing in San Francisco on Tuesday. I know that there's some showings coming up in the Boston area in December, but we encourage folks to use that as a tool to educate their local community about TPS and bring that documentary to their local community. So there's some resources for that we'll have up on in the chat there as well. And then, of course, the National TPS Alliance is doing amazing work every day to organize TPS holders, to fight for our TPS families. So we encourage everybody to make a financial contribution. It is the giving season, and being able to support this work and financially support this work is really important. So if you can make a contribution to support the National TPS Alliance, we'd really appreciate that as well. Thank you, Johnny, so much for being with us and being one of the plaintiffs. Really appreciate you and your work. Jessica, thank you for your work in being on the legal team, and thank all the lawyers that are involved with this work. It's such an important thing you're doing. Yeah. Francis, anything you have closing thoughts?
I just love to say thank you for being part of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Thank you for understanding us. Thank you for listening and try to educate yourself about the TPS holders. Like Johnny said, we just part of this community, and that is something that we cannot deny.
Great. So we're going to try to do this show every 2 weeks on Thursdays. So the next show would be December 4th. We're always looking for ideas for topics that we can cover. If you're an ally or if you're a TPS holder, if there's a topic you think we should be covering, please put it in the comment section to help us get ideas for what kind of conversations we can be having here. And let's just remember, let's keep on supporting our neighbors, and especially our TPS neighbors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.